What up, gamers? Welcome to the first episode of the No One Asked podcast. I think that's the name we're rolling with.
Yep, no one asked.
No one asked. So, obviously, as you can tell, no one asked for this, so we delivered it. So, don't expect anything A-class. Where this is like the most shanty, budget, poor people podcast ever recorded.
We are the poor
But
boys.
I'm Ethan. I don't know if I already said that, but
I'm Brock.
hell yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are. So, I guess, why'd we start this thing?
Why did we start this? We started this simply because we have far too many conversations for other people not to hear.
Okay, that's good. That's elite. I was just going to say we talk about too much stuff to cover in text messages that are like 17 paragraph essays.
Yeah, there's a lot of essays.
So,
I think it was also a bit of, I don't know, for me, I have a lot of people that want to get into different sports like NFL and stuff, but have no idea anything about it. And
yeah.
if they have questions, for example, a lot of people now with the Valentine Holmes situation are asking questions and they go to me for, all the information. So, maybe something like this is really going to help them.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be good if it does. Because it's really hard to like find a medium or find somewhere to, like, you sort of get thrown to the wolves and it's either you watch ESPN and deal with the bullshit that is
Yeah.
for like
Yep.
6 or 3 hours and learn like nothing but hot takes, or you just stumble across videos of good analysis and then, but that's hard. That's real. Like, I got lucky with how much I fell in love with the NFL. Just like one day browsing YouTube, found the Bleacher Report podcast, the Sims and Lefko show at the time, and yeah, just got into it from that. But it's tough. Otherwise, you're just watching Stephen A go off.
You love your Stephen A too. No.
I do. He's hilarious.
Oh, he's had some funny stuff at the moment. But yeah, for me it's just kind of what I witness, what I'm reading, a lot of Instagram fan pages and things like that. I haven't even personally found that big podcast or website that feeds me all my information so I can understand as someone who loves it and wants to get into it that
Yeah.
I can't find somewhere, let alone someone who knows nothing about it. So hopefully it helps everyone out.
Exactly. And that's it. It's like, and it's so tough because those good Instagram pages, they're either like real broad and they don't go into detail on specific teams, or they're like really in depth and they're talking about nickel and dime and shit. And it's such like,
Or that
it's so overwhelming.
crazy bias.
Yeah, exactly.
The bias ones are the
exactly.
best. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
And you love just reading the comments and seeing everyone else's biased opinion. That's, a lot of people would find it as the worst thing, especially being Australian, where it's very level Australian. It's funny going over to the American sport and how biased they are for their team. Like, you have conversations with
yeah.
anyone from American, but a lot of people would see that as a negative, but it's a crazy positive just because it's so interesting seeing everyone else's opinion about it.
Yeah, Aussies we're so unique with our sport. It's like, if the team's not doing well, we just dip. Like, we'll just be like, yeah, that's all right. I'll support them when they're good again.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
It's not like we completely dip. It's like we still watch them on TV and stuff. But you look at that, like, anyone who's doing shit, there is diehard fans showing up to every game and just filling the stadium, even when their team's doing terrible.
Yeah, even traveling crazy distances, like to the other side of the country, just to watch their team. Like, they love it no matter what the scenario is, where, like you said, Australia, pretty much if your team's doing badly, you don't talk about it. And if they're doing well, you ask, about someone else's team, or, if they watch the game, things like that. So
1000%. And that's what gets me into the, like, American sports so much, is this so many passionate fans for it year round too. It doesn't just stop when the season ends.
Just the commitment
it keeps
to
going.
Everyone's diehard, especially in the American sports with the drafts and so on. Everyone's just waiting for free agency to open up once the season ends, and they're waiting for the draft to come along, and there's always something else to be looking out for. No,
that's one thing that all the Aussie sports miss. I know the AFL has a draft, but I mean, and that's the thing too. Aussie, like, we're so divided in our sport. It's either you like one or you might
Yeah.
sort of like two. It's not like you like everything.
Yeah, agreed.
Like you get Americans who are like super into an NFL team and super into an NBA team and super into like a baseball team, and it's just year round for them
Yeah.
that they have content. And then you come out here and it's like, oh, I sort of like, I'm obsessed with rugby, but I sort of like league. I'm not a big fan of cricket. I think we just do too many sports.
Yeah, I think we try to be the best at everything. I think we
Mm,
also downfall. We play sports like rugby union. We have New Zealand that's right next door, who's it's the driving force of rugby union as
yeah.
well, and we compare ourselves to them, and that brings us down when it's a sport we're a lot poorer at. Where
Yeah.
America, the truth is, no one really plays NFL or plays basketball, anything like that, the same way they do baseball, and it's kind of their driving force, and they're the
Mm,
best platform to go to for it.
yeah. Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I wish there was more ways that Aussie sports could stay relevant for 12 months instead of
yeah,
just like relying on Fox Sports talking about Jared Hayne doing coke in a bathroom.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Whoever's
because all you,
decided to bash their misses, or yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's really
yeah,
sad.
it is sad. And like, all it does is make the NRL look bad. You keep talking about it, but then the NRL looks bad, and then it takes like 4 months of Channel 9 forcing it down your throat that like, this is the greatest game ever, you to like get positive with it, and then something happens, and then you're just negative about it
It's
again.
pretty much
It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's pretty much either talk about how good specific teams are doing and how they represent the game so well. Like, you have Roosters and Storm and Rabbitohs who at the moment are succeeding and doing really well. And it's either we're
Mm,
going to focus on how well they're playing football and this is why we love the game and have so much passion for it. Or we go the other end and it's like, yeah, exactly. Jared Haynes now been kicked out of another team and he's not succeeded in another um, form of sport. We'll just focus on
mm,
that. Or, yeah, someone's like the Dragons player who's being done at the moment for his misses, and yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
sad.
just,
It's
it
one
is.
extreme or the other.
Yeah. It is. I was actually surprised. Like a lot of the Blues players, or a few of them, that were like really massive in the win last year, either like didn't make the squad this year, or like Jack DeBellin, like he's in trouble for that.
Yeah,
It's messed up what he's in
yeah.
trouble for. But like, I was just surprised about how many Blues players either like did make the squad again, or just went off the face of the earth for trouble.
I think the thing was too. It was New South Wales have kind of asserted their dominance. Like as a Maroon supporter, I can say they're
Mm.
just a better all-round team. Maybe first teams it's a lot closer than what I previously thought. But the depth they have compared to the Maroons, like the Blues have compared to the Maroons, is just ridiculous. You guys brought in a whole new team for the second game. And we're just like, oh yeah, we'll play this team as well. We'll see how they go, and they dominated. So,
Yeah, we were lucky.
oh,
I was worried for a bit.
there
I
was a
thought,
second there. It was looking alright for Maroons, but we came back to earth.
mm, but I mean, honestly, like if we're being honest, there is no way that New South Wales should ever get beat in Origin when they have like 16 of the 20 teams, and then Queensland has 3
Yeah,
and Melbourne has 1.
yeah,
There's no way New South Wales should ever get beat in Origin when you have that many pathways.
no. And the truth is, it's not Queensland's just better. We just had a
Mm,
glory generation, and that's what it was. It was a generation. It's not like we had a couple good players for a couple years. It was player after player who could be argued that they were the best ever in their position. You got Cronk, Slater, JT, Smith. And a number of forwards who have just changed the game. So yeah, we can't expect that to go on forever.
nah, you can't, and that's what's tough. But I guess, what do you think of Michael Thomas's contract?
Ooh, nice little segue straight into it. Michael
Yeah,
Thomas,
straight into it.
I think he certainly deserved to get paid that much. I looked
Mm,
at him last year, and I didn't watch the Saints too much the second half of the year, but I watched the first half, and especially that Rams game they had, not in the finals, which blew up a lot of controversy, the one where Saints dominated. And Michael
mm,
Thomas just flourished. Like, he was unbelievable. So, I, in my opinion, he's in that top five wide receivers probably in the league. And I think he definitely deserved to get paid that.
yeah.
And I think Saints are definitely looking to win now, so they're happy to splash the cash now. There's only so many years that Drew Brees is going to keep playing, and they're going to have to start looking for another quarterback, and we might see a big dip. But what was your opinion on it?
Well, I mean, like, first the money. The money in the NFL compared to the NBA is
Oh,
ridiculous. Like, Michael Thomas is like a top five wide receiver.
yeah,
He's like so quick. He's so big. He's agile for his size. He's like elite. He had 125 catches for 1,400 yards last year, and he gets 61 million in guaranteed money over 5 years.
yep,
Like, you look to the NBA, and there's like bench players getting 100 million over 3 years.
yep, yep.
And I get that there's the smaller sport and there's less players and stuff, but it's just like the comparison is ridiculous. Like, these are two sports. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the figures pulled up for which one makes more revenue, but I think bloody the NFL Players Association has to do better in the next negotiation.
I think
Like, they got to get the players more money, and they have to make all the contracts fully guaranteed. I believe for like, even if it's just for all pro players or pro bowlers, like, you can't have a guy like Michael Thomas who is like leaving, what is it, 39 million on the table in unguaranteed money.
but it's also, I think, with a lot of these, a lot of contracts nowadays, the guaranteed money is just increasing and it's going through the roof. Like, it started out being a
Mm.
small amount, and now, you look at him and he's got what 61% of his contract obviously is now completely paid out. I think, like, comparing the NBA to the NFL, you got five starters versus what 22 starters
Yeah,
without your
yeah,
special
true.
teams. It's big to call up that ways, but you also go the other way, and chances are if someone's going to get injured, it's an NFL player. Every game pretty
Mm.
much you have a few people go down with ACLs or, broken bones, things like that. So you'd like to see large guaranteed money, but it's also a business, so you got to see it from both
Yeah,
sides of the story. So I'm not too mad. I think if you're getting over 50% of your contract guaranteed, like, you could go down the next day, have over 50% of your guaranteed. I feel like you can't complain too much as well. But
mm.
yeah, it's two sides of the story.
Yeah. My biggest thing though with it is like the way that they do it is that 61 million, like 30 million of that'll be a signing bonus, and then
Yeah,
you'll get the 30 million guaranteed over like the next 5 years.
yeah,
And then, if it's like, it goes down to 6 mil a year, and then if he gets injured, what could have been 10 or 12 turns into
yeah,
6, and then he's sitting on the sideline wasting. I just think, I was listening, obviously, to the Left Coast show now, it is, since Chris Sims left it, but he was talking about how, like, rookie contracts in the NFL are like 5, 6 years. Like, that's
yeah.
ridiculous,
What I
man.
think they're
Like, you have
usually
to do,
five.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like, you have to do 4 years. I'm pretty sure you have to, or it's like assumed that you've done 4 years at college
yeah,
to
four
get a
years.
degree, and then so you're already like 22, and then you spend 5 years at one team earning like $1 million a year.
Yeah, if you're on a good contract. Yeah,
Yeah, and then it's like you're 27, so it's either by the time you're 27 you've got a big contract, or you just like fade out
yeah,
with nothing.
yeah,
And it's just, when you like, I get the whole money thing and I get the business side of it, but it's just sad to see dudes like Michael Thomas, he's gonna make 1.1 million next year, and then his contract extension kicks in.
yep,
Like, you look at guys like him who have like taken that little money, and then you look over to the NBA, and dudes that are complete scrubs, like warming the bench, have earned in 1 year what he did his whole rookie contract.
yep, yep.
And you factor in like the injury risks and the fact that he's been on top of his game and he's got the luck of no injuries. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and once again, one of the best in the league in his given position versus someone who's, like you said, wasting away on the bench, practically
Mm.
on the same amount of money. So, but that's
I guess,
I guess that's
yeah.
also the time, to prove yourself. But that's the thing: if you don't get the opportunity in those 5 years on your rookie contract, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to get a cut, and
Mm.
where to from there. But I also have to give NFL credit. So I think it's 3 or 4 years that they have to do generally in college, but out of school anyway, that before they can enter the league. I think that's a huge positive for the NFL. Like, it actually gives the players time to make something of themselves before
Mm. Yeah.
they give their lives and devote their lives to the sport. And,
Yeah.
chances are a lot of them are probably at college just, you know, heart sitting at the back of classes and things like that, not really caring because all they want to do is to be in the league. But I like that there's the opportunity there that, NFL makes them do something with
Yeah.
their lives prior to the league.
Yeah, that is. It's good because then you look at the NBA and it's all one and dones because they just want to get into the league
Yeah.
and earn the big bucks. And I guess the trade off though is I guess you go 1 year and you don't get a degree, but then your first if you get drafted, your rookie contract is like 11 million, and even if you fail, hopefully you're smart enough to if everything goes wrong, you can live off 11 million for the rest of your life, or spend it starting up businesses that people get into while you're there. But it is risky.
Just being rational with the money.
I do like the NFL's approach to it a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's just, I also don't like that. I'm hoping that it happens because there's meant to be rumors that they'll open up the G League, so the NBA Development League, to younger guys.
Yep.
And let them skip college.
Okay.
Instead of going to college and not getting paid, and then because what tends to happen in basketball is you can get injured in the NFL or in college and you'll stay on that team and stay relevant, and then you get another chance the next year.
Yep.
It's a lot more different in basketball. It's a lot more cutthroat. If you get an ACL injury, you might lose that half step that made you elite as a player.
Yeah, absolutely.
That little bit of explosiveness, and then you come back and there's some new kid who's been hyped up by all the Instagram pages for the past year, and everyone's keen to see him, and then he takes your spot, and then you just fade, and then you end up doing 2 or 3 years, you don't get a degree, and then you don't even make it to the league. But yeah, I wish that they'd make the avenue for the players that want to go to college, they go.
Yep.
And the players that don't can go get paid and just play basketball.
Yeah, that's a fair call. And you'd probably see a lot of people commit to the G League, and, whether that's a positive or negative, I guess that's up to the player, and we'd see the results from that eventually. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that led.
It's just a joke too, when you get guys like Zion and stuff who go to a college for a year and then they get replaced because they left after a year. It doesn't look that I don't fault the players for doing it because they obviously have no intent other than to make the league.
Yeah.
But it's one of the reasons that I find the NCAA tournament at the end of the year so hard to follow, because it's massive. It's 64 teams and pretty much no players are the same as last year.
Yeah.
All the squads are different. You don't recognize anyone. No. It's so hard to get. And compared to the college football, where it's Deshaun Watson was battling. I can't remember who was he against. It was Alabama or whatever.
Yeah.
Clemson and Alabama were going at it with nearly the same squads for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier to get into too.
Yeah.
Because the college football is just as big. College gridiron is just as big a playoff. They just do a ton of 1 versus 2. Instead of they have the main one, and then they have all the little bowls.
Yep.
Instead of putting 64 teams into one tournament and playing for a month.
Yeah. And I guess, you even do look at teams like Clemson. Trevor Lawrence has just had his first year and he's still forced to be in college football for the next 2 years after absolutely dominating and winning the competition with Clemson. It makes storylines too, and that's a big thing about American sports. It creates a big storyline.
Yeah, it's one thing they do so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Just the storylines is ridiculous.
And talking about storylines, Raiders Hard Knocks just being released. What'd you think of it?
Well, it's actually the first year I've watched Hard Knocks and actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it on YouTube. They'll post clips and I'm I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah.
But now that I'm into the NFL and I get how it takes, how long it takes a team to become good.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
AB's an idiot though for ruining his feet in a cryogenic, I don't know how to say it, but chamber.
Was that what it was? I didn't do too much reading on it. I'm a little bit hurt he's gone, so I've pushed him to the side. I deleted his Instagram, been a bit rude there, but yeah.
Nah, that's fair, man. I don't blame you. I guess he did what he had to do to get paid, but it wasn't. Yeah, the Steelers AB breakup was not pretty.
No, but okay, so it's in a cryogenic chamber. That's interesting.
Yeah, he didn't wear the right footwear.
Oh, wow.
And now he's got frostbite, and his feet look disgusting. There's like a photo floating around. It's like his feet look like I can't. Okay, you know when you get like a corn or something on one toe,
Yeah.
and like the skin peels back and it's all mangly. That's his whole foot,
Oh, wow.
both feet.
That's rough.
It looks rank.
It's his own
And he's got
decision,
those.
but feels bad for him.
Yeah, he's got those 9 years in the NFL toes where they're like curled in, and his big toes all smushed from cutting
Yeah.
routes all day for 9 hours a day. It's just it was a disgusting photo, but
But what do you think, outside of that, AB at the Raiders? I quite enjoyed his kids asking where Roethlisberger was.
yeah, that was funny.
Big up for the kids. I'm like, yeah, where's Roethlisberger now, buddy? We're stuck with Derek Carr.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how that goes because Derek Carr can play.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously not trying to compare him to Ben Roethlisberger, but he can play. I'll be keen to see whether like Derek Carr was just as good these past couple of seasons but didn't have the target.
Yeah.
I'll be keen to see that.
Well, I think last season was a lot to do with the O-line, which they've made a couple signings for, so hopefully that picks up. But yeah, if it's due to the target, I think Derek Carr is definitely going to go from the lower half of the league of quarterbacks, mid-range, probably 22 or something, to the top half. I don't think we're going to expect him to blow up in any feat of the imagination, but I think it's really going to set a good platform for the Raiders.
Yeah. That's the one, just another like sidetrack there too, with the way that like fans and we all rank we rank QB so weird compared to every other position because so much of a quarterback's role like depends on his receivers and his O-line and his like running back and how much pressure they take off him. But then you also like look at it like Brady's constantly at the top, and then you got guys like Drew Brees and stuff. But like Derek Carr's a good example, and Dak is too. Like if Dak loses Ezekiel, and then like it is when he plays without Zeke, and he has no good running back, and his O-line's not doing well, he goes from like that upper mid level quarterback all the way down to like a real low, like 22nd. He gets ranked low. And I feel like that's why those guys that have been at the top the whole time, like changing O-lines, changing players, like your Bradys and your Breezes, are so like, that's why I respect them so much more now.
Yeah.
Is because they've continually performed no matter what's happened.
Yeah. With the team changing, they're consistently still looking elite. And, I think it's a bit unfair to talk about him. But yeah, you definitely see that with Brady because they're practically bringing out fans of the game to come play professional sport. Between Brady and Belichick, they're just unbeatable, to be honest.
They are.
You walk into every season pretty much going, yep, who's going to be versing the Patriots at the end of this year? So, yeah.
Do you think Belichick will ever retire, or do you think we'll just get to that period where we have like continuous life and he just keeps coaching and coaching and coaching?
That's what I was actually, you think about from time to time. Like, he's like getting up there in age. At what point does he decide to call it quits? Like, what? He's sitting there with 8 Super Bowl rings. Does he stop when he gets to 10? Like, does he stop once Patriots are the most dominant team ever, which, they're tied with Steelers on the most Super Bowl wins, like most Lombardi trophies. So, yeah, at what point does he stop? Does he end up leaving the Patriots? I don't see that happening, but it'll be interesting what he thinks.
Yeah, and like he never reveals anything either.
No.
It's crazy. He's only 67.
Yeah, like he can continue to coach for who knows how long. And at the moment, you can't fault him. I think he's still the best coach in the game, no doubt about it. He has no reason to stop, but he might just call it quits one day and go, I've earned enough money. These rings are starting to get a little heavy to carry. I'll move on.
I feel like for how long he's gone and what he's done, I feel like he's not a coach that coaches for the rings in a way. If you know what I mean.
No. If he was coaching for the rings, he'd already be done.
Yeah, like I feel like he just enjoys coaching football and like developing players or something.
Yeah, potentially.
Because the way that he drafts and then everyone turns into a stud, and whoever doesn't gets cut before they even get the chance to flop.
Yeah.
It's like, I think he just genuinely enjoys being in that environment. Like, because, yeah, like you said, he's got enough rings. He's made enough money. Like, he could happily retire and live off, like, $10 million a year doing endorsement deals for books that he could write. He could write, like, a brand new book every year.
Yeah.
Like, revise it the next year and resell it, and he'd make millions off it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, it's just... He's incredible. I think he will go down as the greatest coach.
Oh,
I really do.
I think he has to. I think he has to. You know, whether he will, I think you have to look in regards to long time ago and that, like for that. But, you know, John Madden, his name's on the front of every Madden game. So, you know, you have to look. He's never going to be forgotten. And has he already made a huge legacy that no one's ever going to not know that name, that arguably he's the biggest ever coach, even though he's won one or two Super Bowls, I think.
Yeah, I think it was one or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very few anyway, especially in comparison. I think, but for coaching dynamics, yeah, I don't think anyone's even on that level.
No, I don't think it is. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like continual dominance too. It's just been going on for years and years.
And yeah, at this point in time, we're definitely not going to see an end.
Do you reckon they'll name something after him? Because obviously John Madden went commercial with Madden, and then obviously Vince Lombardi, he's got the Lombardi trophy. Do you reckon they give something to Belichick, or do you reckon they just put him in the Hall of Fame?
I think, you know, definitely Hall of Fame. That's not even a question. But I think my biggest question, I think they would, but what is there to give him, you know? Like John Madden, like you said, went commercial, and he got that name on the front cover of Madden just because they needed a name there, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it could quite easily be called NFL 20 this year with Patrick Mahomes on the front, and it's not like the numbers would change of how many, you know, copies of the game they'll get and sell or anything like that. And I think it's just a time the like Lombardi Trophy was named that. I just don't know what you could give Belichick.
I don't either. I really don't know what you could give him. Like, I mean, because you can't take the Lombardi Trophy and rename it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's disrespectful. And then I think John Madden used to have a bigger role. I think the reason it was called like Madden Football or whatever is because like he used to be on like the loading screens or something.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure though. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll give Belichick some college bowl, but he never coached college football, did he?
I'm not actually too sure. I don't know that far back about him, in all honesty.
That's fair.
But I think just in respect, essentially, if there's something they can give him, they will give him, no doubt about it. You know, how much he's changed the game, and he's created the most recent dynasty. It's hard not to give him something.
Yeah, they might do what the NBA does and rename the awards at the end of the year, like call the Coach of the Year the Bill Belichick Coach of the Year or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
They could do that.
Yeah. You could see something like that happening. It's just a matter if and a matter of what they decide.
Yeah. What? I'm just looking at his Wikipedia now. This man has been coaching since 1975.
Wow.
He started out with the Baltimore Colts. So
wow.
They hadn't even changed their name
yet. The merge had the merge not happened at that point? No, it would have just.
I believe so.
No.
So
it would have been around that time anyway.
He was 23 when he started coaching.
Oh, wow.
He's 67 now. So it's obviously for the love of the game.
Yeah, he just jumped straight into it. So yeah, no, he came in just after the merge.
Right.
But then,
damn.
Yeah, just after the merge.
Hustle.
Not the complete, obviously. The Colts and Baltimore splitting up. No, that's very interesting. It's gonna. I guess, you know, a question then leads to, is Sean McVay going to go down a similar avenue? You know, you look at his age, just jumped.
Yeah, that's true.
Never had a real playing career, just straight into coaching. He's definitely changing the scene at the moment, so he could be one to change the game.
Yeah, I think he could. What's the go with that, though? There's so many, like... Sean McVay's a good coach, and he has, like, a couple of good seasons, and now everyone wants to get the young, super adventurous, crazy, tactical guy that's not afraid to throw it around. Like you look at the Arizona Cardinals hiring Cliff,
Yeah, Kingsbury.
whatever his name is, Kingsbury.
Yeah.
It's like I get it. I think that is a good idea. Is to like give a struggling franchise a brand new coach and give him his franchise quarterback that year.
Yep.
Because it's like he has to work to prove and Kyler's got to work to prove and they both want to make it better. It's not like some guy who's been sitting on the throne while they've been shit for 4 years.
Yeah.
So he's sort of like your what's his name? Like Marvin Lewis was in Cincinnati or
Yep.
Hugh Jackson was in the Browns.
Yep.
Like they just get used to being shit and it's like, yeah, we're trying, blame everyone else and then
We're trying, but there's nothing we can do, yeah.
I like that. And I think it's sort of a similar dynamic in Cleveland right now in a way with Freddie Kitchens and
Yeah,
Baker.
that's an interesting combination.
Because what do you think of that combo? What do you think of?
I think Baker was the most talented quarterback to come out of last year's draft and is a great quarterback. He just obviously needs the time to improve. It's only his second year, so we can only expect bigger and better things. But
yeah,
I don't think Freddie Kitchens is the right person for him. And to be fair, they've given him the wide receiver and the running back corp, and I'm not that could certainly improve in their O line. It's not the greatest, but it's not horrendous either. So there could be huge positive, and he could shine. But I don't think it's going to be because of Freddie Kitchens either.
yeah,
See where you look at Patrick Mahomes, and I think no one's going to question that he's top three, arguably the most talented quarterback in the league and maybe we've ever seen. His no looks and his sideways passes and stuff, it's unbelievable. But you stand back and he's also got Andy Reid that's a phenomenal coach teaching him how to play.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Baker Mayfield certainly doesn't have that, but he's talented nonetheless.
He is. Pat, yeah, Baker's good. I like Baker. I like his attitude.
He's certainly arrogant and confident, but I think as a quarterback, you need that. It certainly builds some people up.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I've never that sort of. I don't think I've ever been that sort of arrogant. Like, yeah, I'm me. I'm here. This is me. Like that sort of player.
Yeah.
Like when I'm playing sport, but yet I'm so attracted to the guys that are like cocky or not cocky, but like just really self-confident and just want to go out there and know that they can do it and just do it and kick ass.
Yeah.
Like, because I sympathize more too with the guys that are a lot like me, like Sam Darnold.
Yep.
I like him and I hope he does well because he's like a quieter guy, more like stick to the shadows, just do his job, get things done.
Yeah, he's going to be another interesting one. Like he's got the talent there, and now with Le'Veon Bell coming in, but they've got a lot of structure up top that's going the wrong way. But I'm really interested to watch him. I quite like him, so I hope he does well.
What happened there? The Jets let someone. They had a general manager, and they let him pick their draft.
Yep,
pick.
he did the entire draft, the free agency, pretty much.
Yep, and then he got sacked.
A week after the draft, I think?
Yeah, it was a week after. And then it come out that Adam Gase, I don't know if he didn't like the draft picks, but Adam Gase didn't like them signing Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And then now they've got a new general... Did Adam Gase just step up?
Say that again, sorry?
Did Adam Gase just step up or did they get a new general manager?
Not too sure. I was under the opinion that he was standing up, but maybe they found someone else to come in. I'm not 100% sure, but it was crazy. Like a week after the draft and everything, he just came out, said he wasn't a fan, and immediately rumors started to swirl around that Le'Veon Bell was going to be straight out the other door, straight out the exit door after coming in.
Yeah, that would have been tough for the Jets to negotiate.
Yeah, that's
like a decent trade because it's just Le'Veon had a massive contract. He just signed there, but I'm glad he's staying there, and I'm glad he's got the opportunity because I really want to see how he goes with a full season of rest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, that's going to be interesting after a full season of rest. Does he come back bigger and better, or does he come back sloppy? That's going to be interesting. And, walking into New York, where he's, I guess, officially it's unofficial, but officially in a lot of people's eyes, it he's the second best running back there now behind Saquon. So that should be interesting.
It will be
He's
interesting,
got something
and
to
he has a
prove.
lot to prove.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it'll sort of be interesting too to see how the other NFL players react to that. Like whether they look at this as like I can hold out, I can get more money, and it'll be interesting to see whether he comes back better than what he was or at the same level at least. And then other like players go, well, hang on, I can hold out for a year, I can maybe get another 2 or 3 years on the end of my career because I take a break essentially, and then I get paid too. Like it'll be really, really interesting to see how well he does and whether more players sort of follow that path.
Well, we've already started to see it. There's already a number of players in the running back position who are starting it now. You know, Melvin Gordon, Zeke is now doing it. So it's going to be interesting.
I am so surprised at how quickly that Melvin Gordon like situation has gone downhill. Like and publicly too.
Yeah, no,
Like really
everything's out
publicly.
there.
So just so everyone knows, I sort of like you said, for people that are coming here that sort of want answers on stuff, the NFL sort of works like everything's kept under wraps because it's like it's a much shorter than the NBA. So I'll compare it to the NBA. So everything's much shorter because it's a 16 game season. So everything's kept under wraps because one game has a lot more importance when you're in a 16 game season compared to an 82 game season. So usually if a leak comes out, it's either not a leak, so it's either a player whose agent is officially releasing something, or it's like a really, really rich owner who has shit tons of oil money who's gone to the newspapers that he also has percentages in and got them to leak like bad stuff about players. And that's happened in the past. And that's why this Melvin Gordon situation, and like it was with Le'Veon last year, is so changing for the NFL because everything was out there and it wasn't just the teams controlling the narratives, because that's what teams seems to happen a lot is that teams control narratives.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like really surprised that Melvin Gordon said, I want more money publicly. And then the Chargers said, no, we're not paying you. You can sit. And like, you've got our offer. You can take it if you want it. They said that back publicly. And then he said, well, I'm not showing up. And they said, oh, okay, well, we're not giving you it. And then he's requested a trade. It's just so out there because the NBA is completely different. It's like everything in the NBA is a rush to get out there.
Yeah.
It's like everyone wanted it yesterday.
So what's your...
So it's like...
I'll continue.
Oh, no, I've run out of point. I just did a circle of nothingness. So anyone listening to that probably got nothing out of it.
But so what's your opinion, you know, on... We'll just focus on Melvin Gordon and, you know, maybe link back to the Le'Veon Bell. In the last year, what do you think is the happy result? Like, do you think they should be paying him? Do you think they should be trading him?
Well, particularly for running backs, I feel like you do deserve to get paid. And if you're a guy as good as Zeke or Le'Veon or Melvin Gordon, you do deserve to get paid. Because if you're getting 20 or like 15, 20 carries a game, and then those games where it's shit and your quarterback can't seem to make the throws or something's just not clicking and you get the ball dumped to you more, that is such an excruciating physical toll.
Yep.
It's like you have to go, like it's not like a receiver who can beat one guy and then he gets tackled by the safety, or like a quarterback who just stands back and throws it and doesn't get touched unless something bad happens.
Yep.
It's like he has to go through the O-line, through the D-line, and then further through the linebackers and then into the secondary, into the cornerbacks and the safeties to do something good.
Yeah.
Like he has to get hit to go somewhere.
Yeah, and you know,
or he has to take a physical toll.
And 9 times out of 10, they're not breaking that far through. They're getting stuck in the offensive line and defensive line, and they're just having everyone collapse on them in the end. So, yeah. I don't know. It's a bit of a here and there situation. I completely see where you're coming from. They deserve to be paid. I think, you know, you see quarterbacks as the main position, which they are, getting paid huge amounts of money. And now we're seeing wide receivers getting paid like Michael Thomas, big amounts of money to make the quarterback flourish. Yeah. But we're not seeing that with the running back. So in my opinion, for the time being, I would stand on the side of going, Chargers definitely just need to trade him. Like, I don't think, I don't think they can afford it anyway. And that's why they're giving him his max deal and they're not going to be able to keep him there. But I think there's so much controversy coming out of it, and they have an elite team. without Melvin Gordon. Like, in my opinion, they're probably the most all-rounded team in the league.
Yeah.
And in every position, they have someone dominant. I think they're going to have someone not to fill in at the same standards, but I think we're going to see a similar situation to the Steelers where Le'Veon Bell stood down the entire season, did not play a single minute, and James Conner came in, and you know what? In a lot of people's opinion, they're expecting him to finish in the top 10 or just outside of running backs in the league. Like, that's how good they think they are. So, it's not all bad. And running back is a position that can be filled, but like you said, there's a lot of pressure, to carry your entire team if your quarterback's having an off day.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I sort of, you learn, like, see, because if you come in and you support a team that has a really good running back, like you have with the Steelers and I have with the Cowboys, you look at Zeke and you look at Le'Veon and you go, oh yeah, that's just a normal running back.
Yeah.
Like they'll just run through and then burst up the field for 40 yards.
Yep.
And then, but the thing that sets the really good running backs aside from the the other guys is that Zeke and all that and Melvin Gordon too are the guys that can turn a play into a play.
Yeah.
Like they can make that and then go 40 yards. Like, and this is why, and this is the problem, like you said, with the running back is they're replaceable. You can pay two guys. The Chargers will probably pick up someone else and pay two guys. And then like the Patriots do, instead of paying one guy max money, you have two guys, you run them on a rotation, and then all they do is go for that first 5 yards, and instead of turning up the field for another 40, they just get that 5 yards that they need.
Yep.
And that's what separates the elite running backs and the rest of them. And that's what's like real hard to learn if you come in and support a team like the Cowboys or like the Steelers or the Chargers, is like you think it's normal for a running back to run 45 yards, and then you realize there's like guys on the Jets who take like 20 carries for 30 yards.
Yep.
They just do their job, and they're so cheap. And that's, yeah, and since running back isn't that vital of a position, like to have an elite star there or to have someone who can carry a team, they're so replaceable.
Yeah. And
they are.
But I think you also have to question, he's definitely up there, Melvin Gordon, but is he in that elite breakout? You see the top tier of being your Saquon, your Kamara, your Zeke's. Those have people, obviously your Le'Veons and your Gurleys, but, is Melvin Gordon at that point?
I mean,
he's
I
definitely
think
one of the best, but
yeah, I think he's just below it.
yeah,
To be
I think
honest.
he's just below it. So I think it's quite an easy decision from the Chargers.
Yeah, it is. It's sadly it is.
Yeah, but
because it'll be interesting to see where. And this is another thing too. Trades in the NFL are so undervalued.
Yeah.
Like you get a player for a 4th round pick.
Oh, what? Who? Duke Johnson went to the
Yeah.
Texans. What, this morning or yesterday? For a 4th round pick.
For a player, like a fully functioning, fully healthy, really solid running back, goes for like a 4th round pick. It's just trading in the NFL is so unexciting.
Yeah.
It's just so boring. It's not like the NBA where it's like superstars for superstars. It's just like, yeah, you can have this 4th round pick.
That's the thing.
Here's Duke Johnson.
Yeah, it's either you have a franchise player, like quarterbacks pretty much are never traded because, well, we saw that with Josh Rosen, but they were replacing him straight away. But they're not really swapped around, and so there's no value in that. But yeah, in every other position almost, unless you're elite of the elite, you pretty much go for chips in comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. Yeah, where do you reckon you'll go then? Who do you
Melvin.
reckon will trade for him?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't actually paid attention to too many rumors on where he's going to go.
I don't think there have been any.
I haven't seen anything anywhere.
I mean, that other podcast that I watch, it suggested the Packers, since he's from Wisconsin or something, or he's from Milwaukee, or. But I mean, that's the thing. Do they have the money?
I don't think they have the money.
$20 million, and then pay Aaron Rodgers $30 million, and then.
If he goes there, he's going to be on a short-term contract, in my opinion, because they have a lot of rookies that are looking exciting. That I think, well, not just rookies, like people in their rookie contracts that are looking exciting that they're going to have to pay. And I think Cowboys are seeing that same situation. So I don't know if he'd go to the Packers. I think he's going to be going for a lower-end team that, can afford him and is still looking for a franchise quarterback.
That's the situation that we had with Le'Veon. Is like he was rumored to go to the Colts, but you just can't make it
Yeah,
work.
you would
So
have loved to see him go to the Colts or a Texans. Like that would have been so exciting to see him paired up with Luck or Deshaun Watson would have been unbelievable. But they're building their team outside of the running back, and I guess you even look at Texans. Well, they obviously just got Duke Johnson, which I think is excellent for them. But
yeah,
there's nothing really outside of that. They have the rest of the team to pay for, so they can't afford it.
yeah. Because Houston's been one of those teams that's running that two or more running backs where they're like both really decent, and by decent I mean like really really like average.
Yeah,
Like they've had like Vanderblue and whoever the other guy is, I
yeah.
can't
They've
remember.
what Lamar Miller was is been their number one lately.
And it's just yeah. I really hope that Melvin Gordon goes to a contender, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, and this is the thing, maybe but I guess like you said, short-term contracts, that could be a thing for running backs, but then you run into the problem that they're trying to get out of.
Yeah,
They're trying to
exactly.
get out of getting underpaid or not having a financial security for the
Yeah,
future. So they wouldn't be as keen to take 1 or 2 years for max money somewhere and then just leave when, the team can't afford them anymore.
yeah. Like Melvin Gordon, he's definitely not going to somewhere that's only going to pay him for a couple of years. Like he's going to want pretty much the same contract Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley have been asking for, that 15 million, 4 years, with 40 million guaranteed or something. Like that's going to be what that he's expecting.
Could you imagine if that became a thing and then you get like the Patriots who sign like a Melvin Gordon for 2 years for 30 million or something, and you just get like these insane teams doing like a loan system.
Yeah,
Or you could just establish a loan system in the NFL.
yeah. But I
Just
think that,
maybe,
we're already saying trades have no value. That just takes it away even more so.
yeah, true. I guess in a way though too, it is a bit different. Like you sort of look at it and compare the trades from the NBA to the NFL. But then I guess like when you're building a championship contender, it always seems to be teams that are young with good superstars that click.
Yep.
Because you click with your draft and you get real guys on cheap rookie deals and you have them for 4 or 5 years and that's your window. Because otherwise then you have to pay them or you have to let them leave and hope that you get good in the draft, which I still think is why, I mean, if they added a loan system, I guess it would sort of just avoid the holdouts. And I guess maybe it might devalue trades more, but I mean, it'd still be like you look at the Browns and the Texans, they're like the Browns are obviously trying to get rid of a player and bring in a pick that could add to their championship for less money,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I guess that could be a thing. I mean, I don't know. You're right, but I would like to see a loan system. Like, like Melvin Gordon's unhappy and he just agrees to go to Green Bay and they pay 75% of his contract for that year.
Yeah. It could.
And then if he decides he doesn't want to be there, comes back to the Chargers and says, whatever you're going to
I'll take.
pay me.
Yep.
And
I'll take and run with it. But I think it's a growing issue. Le'Veon Bell was the standout, and everyone was like, "What? Like this is crazy! What he's doing, taking an entire year off." But Melvin Gordon's now about to go down that same path if he's not traded, I'm guessing.
and Zeke
But I
too.
think even
I'm
more
worried,
so,
man.
Zeke, he's still got 2 years left on his contract before he's, in big negotiations. I know. I think this is like a topic for you to explain and see how you perceive it. But in my opinion, I think get rid of him.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think Jerry Jones did this mess to himself because I think earlier in the past season, I think he said something about when it comes up, we'll give them max
Yep.
contracts. And now Dak and now Amari and now Zeke are all knocking on the door like, actually, we'd like them now, not in a couple of years.
We'd
So I
appreciate the
think Jerry
money.
Jones has made this own mess for himself, the idiot.
I Yeah, he certainly has. But you guys have a great team outside of that. I think you guys have, after Amari came in and just brought Dak up to another level. I think
Oh, yeah.
we haven't seen we've seen Dak play without Zeke and been awful, but we haven't seen him play with Amari Cooper and not Zeke. Like he could still excel at that level, which I think he probably will, and especially with Randall Cobb, I think came in as well.
Yeah.
I think
Well, that. Sorry, you go. You
I
go.
think we're going to see Dak stay at that level without Ezekiel. So in my opinion, I think he just needs to go. And I think it was Jerry Jones that came out and was like, we also have other people to pay after
Yeah,
Zeke required it, and I think that was huge from him too.
and I think, like you said, like you look at the way, and like I said before, with good guys on rookie contracts, is you look at our defense. We have one of the best defenses in the league, and we're paying like one guy max money.
Yep.
Like we've got Demarcus Lawrence, defensive end. He's on massive money. But then you look at we've got two rookie or very like young in their career linebackers. We got Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. And then we got Byron Jones, who's the corner, who we need to pay eventually because he's going to be good. And then it's like, and this is the thing too with the NFL, is it's so hard to draft good defensive players
Yeah, absolutely.
because it's like it's either hit or miss, and you never know how to rank. Like it's so much easier to rank offensive players coming out of college because you can say, oh well, this quarterback torched the league for 5,000, and then this other one did too. They're both at the same level, but defensive players are so hard to rank
Yeah,
coming out of college, I feel. And that's why when you click like that, I think and that's why I'm worried, is like if we pay Dak and we pay Amari and we pay Zeke, that's way too much money. And then when we get in 2 or 3 years, we have to let like the linebackers that would make us good. Because I feel like the Cowboys, they have to be in win now mode.
oh yeah, it's starting to get to that point. But if Zeke's already stirring up trouble, it's almost already too late. I think, talking about if you pay Zeke, you pay Amari, and you pay Dak, you
Mm.
are relying on them to win you a Super Bowl. You're almost not going to have a defense at that point.
Yeah,
And
that worries me.
you know what? They're great players in each of their positions, but they're not good enough for that. So you guys are reliant on your defense, and
Yeah.
then something's got to
And
give.
I know, and like, and this is the problem because Dak is a flawed quarterback. He's really solid, but he's a flawed quarterback. And when he's not doing well, we just dump it to Zeke, and it is so easy to shut down a team that only runs.
But even what? I think, there was a stat running around halfway through last year. I don't know if the trend continued. I don't think it did, because you guys played really well that second half of the season once Amari came in. But there was a stat running around that if, Zeke, I think it was over 100 yards. If he ran less than 100 yards, you guys lost the game.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's a crazy statistic to be running around, to be that reliant on a player in the running back position. Yeah, it's huge.
And I guess Dak's a bit flawed too because his main passes are like short passes and medium passes, and our old offensive coordinator was trash, and he'd be like, okay, 2 runs for Zeke at the start, cool, and then we'll get Dak to throw a 20-yard laser or attempt to try for like he wouldn't give Dak a chance to get into rhythm. He'd be like, okay, Dak, here's a short pass. Okay, here's a screen to Zeke. Okay, we want you to throw 40 yards to a out route. We want you to hit the sideline in a 5-yard window, please.
Yes, please.
And
And
I mean,
we're
and
marking up against, like, um, what you're gonna have like Landon Collins and Josh Norman there against the Redskins this year. But yeah, we'd like you to do that against Josh Norman too, please and thank you. Like,
yeah, and
yeah, it's big to ask.
this is the thing. I want to get to a situation where we see a new offensive coordinator with Dak, Amari, and Zeke. But I also would sort of like to like I want to see all the possibilities. Like I want to see Dak with no Zeke to fall back on, with just Amari and the receiver core. But I also want to see Zeke in that too and see how good we are if there's like an offensive coordinator that actually helps Dak and doesn't try and just like, okay, dance around, okay, 40-yard pass off your back. Because he's not Pat Mahomes.
No,
He can't make that. He can't make that throw. And that's fine because he's not that quarterback. He's not that guy who's going to win you a Super
and no
Bowl.
one expects him to do that. Yeah.
But I'm just worried. Like if we pay all 3 of those guys, it's going to hurt us in a couple of years.
Oh, you have nothing. Like what? Leighton Van Esch obviously is just a recent rookie.
Mm.
And the others have even less and time until you have to pay. You've only got probably 2 good years,
Yeah.
and I think that's what the Cowboys wanted. Like they need to get that 2 more years out of Zeke's contract, which he has, and
Mm.
then go from there. and then they probably would have potentially cut him or given him his max contract that he would have asked for. But he's really pushing, like he's knocking on their door asking for it 2 years out.
Mm. And it's just,
Yeah, that's just spelling controversy, and especially at the point where he can't go a week without his face being in the media for something else.
yeah, it's tough. I like Zeke, but he's definitely a flawed character. He is. I guess another thing too with it, like you said, oh, I've just forgot what I was gonna say. I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, no, I just remembered. Like you said, like the 2 year window with Zeke. Like if we had that 2 year window and he goes out there and we make a further run in the playoffs than we usually do, which is like a first or second round exit, like it is justifiable to pay all these guys. But it's not justifiable to say we'll commit so much of our like salary cap to you three when all they've done is like get us to the playoffs. They haven't gone anywhere in the playoffs. We need like
Yep.
the only way I would justify giving all three of these guys a max is if they do a Eagles-esque run to the Super Bowl. Like, just make it to the Super Bowl.
I think,
You know, if you beat the Saints and you beat the Rams
I think
in the
if
playoffs.
I think if you beat one of them, that would almost be enough. I think if you could make it to the conference final against Saints or Rams and put on a show and not get lit on fire, I
Yeah.
reckon that would almost be enough because, Saints and Rams are so good in comparison to the rest of the division. But I think the truth is you have to focus on getting out of your division. People are really underrating Philadelphia this year, and you have to look at the stats for that division. There's not been a team that's won 2 years in a row since like 2004 or something like that. Like it's pretty ridiculous. So a division that's so up and down like that, it's yeah, they need to find some dominance in it and consistency, but I don't think they're going to find that.
I know. And even then, like, when you say if we beat one of those two teams, I still think the major reason why we would is because of our defense. Like, when we played the Saints and beat them, I think we beat them, didn't we? Or we lost by like 3 or whatever after we'd been on like a 4-game losing streak or
Yeah, you
something.
guys won that game, and everyone jumped up and down like, "Holy crap, Cowboys! Have they found the way to beat the Saints and way to get to the Super Bowl?" But yeah,
No,
faded away
didn't
in the
pan out.
playoffs.
But I think, yeah, like you said, it would be justified to pay these guys if we did that, and I'd be happy to. But then I'd also look and say, well, how much of that win was off these three, and how much of it was the defense?
Yeah,
You
which
know,
I think it was the
because
defense. I
it
watched that
is.
game, and the way you guys shut down Drew Brees and Kamara as well as you did, I was surprised, but it showed how good your defense was.
Yeah, our linebackers like Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch are so quick, and they can just shut down that spread like that. The offense where you just dump it off to a running back on like a out route, or just pass it off to him and let him run, or just try and do the quick passes. They can shut that down real quick before it turns into something
Yep.
else. And that's what I like so much about him, which is why I'm hesitant to give all three of these guys massive
Yeah,
deals.
in my opinion, you can't. I think you need to sadly watch Zeke go and move on from there and start to pay everyone else.
Yeah, right now, I think if everyone in the Cowboys thinks that Dak's the quarterback, you have to secure him. Like, he has to be number one. And then I would have put Zeke at 2, and then the defense, and then Amari.
Okay.
Like, I like Amari a lot more than Ezekiel, but I just think the fact that Dak can do stuff with a decent wide receiver core, he doesn't need an elite one, but if he has Zeke there, I think that's better. We can fall back on Ezekiel. Like, because if Dak's having a bad game, Amari's going to have a bad game.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Fair call.
I think it makes us a lot more one-dimensional and easier to shut down than if we say, like, well, Dak's doing bad, we have Zeke, we can use him.
Yep.
But I just think Zeke going so hard for the contract now, which I totally respect. I want him to get his bag, but I just think it's pushed him down to now where it goes Dak first, defense, I want something to second, then Amari, then Zeke.
Yeah, and I think it's potentially going to go the other way. I think Amari's now filled that number 2 because they're going, if it's not Zeke, we need to get Amari in, which, like you said, he's elite and he's so young and he's so good. Like, he's probably the best in the league at, making space off the line. So I think he's great for Dak. That's exactly what Dak needs.
Yeah, Dak needs a guy who can go deep and who can make space and give him an easy throw short. Like that's what Dak needs. He needs that separation, that easy separation in like where he doesn't have to lob it and try and throw like a long pass, which is not his strength. He can just get Amari to get that little 3 yards of separation and he can force it in there.
Yeah, and he's not asked to throw it 40 yards in a 5 yards bracket, like we were saying earlier. So was there?
But even you, but you look at like I'm going on for a Cowboys a lot, but I haven't thought about this before you said it. But like even if we just get Dak, like and then the defense second, like you look at like the Ravens and the way that they went with Lamar.
Yep.
It's like you let him go out there and play around and waste 6 or 7 minutes. You tire out their defense,
Yep.
and you give yours a long break, and then you come back. And your defense is fully rested. They're ready to go every single play. I reckon we could win or do a good enough job winning if we just had Dak in the defense.
Yep, arguably.
And I want the defense secured because there's nothing I hate more. Like, I love to watch games where there's a lot of passing, but when your team's involved, I seem to hate it when it's like you just keep leeching points.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like I'd like to see the Cowboys win without having to give up 10 or 13.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'd like to see us have some dominant wins for once instead of just leaking 20 and then we win 27-20.
Yeah, and I'm on the same boat. I'd love to see Steelers actually build a good defense, but we've had the offense for years and years, but our defense is so terrible. And losing games against like the Raiders last year because our secondary and corners couldn't follow a man was rough. But it's sadly one way or the other usually, and hopefully you guys find the best of both worlds. But was there?
Yeah, I hope we do.
Anything else you wanted to talk about?
How much did you hear about? I know we've gone a bit over time, but did you hear about the USA basketball versus the Boomers? The Aussie basketball?
I've seen a few things. I haven't heard anything recently, but no. If you'd like to go on.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, when I woke up one morning and was checking Twitter and I seen that Ben Simmons had pulled out for us, I was annoyed because I was keen to see him play for Australia for once.
So he's pulled out now?
Yeah, he has. So this is the thing, right? He signed his contract with the Sixers, and then because of that, I think they said, well, you need to not play for Australia because if you get injured, we've just paid you all this money, which is fair. So he pulled out. He initially pulled out of the game against the USA because we're doing like a 2 or 3 game series against the US and then going over to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So Ben pulled out of the World Cup and said, I'll play the exhibition games because that's what they'd promised for marketing and stuff. And then all the Americans pulled out and Ben just said, well, it's not worth it because I'm just going to take minutes off the Aussie squad that's actually going to the World Cup, so I'm not playing. So that's why, and everyone's pissed off now, and fairly so, because the tickets that I looked left, like a couple nights ago, it's $300 for seats that are way back. And it's like that's not courtside, that's not like in the main area, it's like a fair while back.
Yeah.
And $300 is the cheapest you can get. And like you were promised for the US versus Australia, you were promised to have guys like Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, like Damian Lillard, James Harden, like Jason Tatum, Kevin Love. They were all meant to be there. And now they've all pulled out and you're getting like, and not to disrespect them, but you're getting like Kyle Lowry and Kemba Walker, Harrison Barnes, Chris Middleton, like Brook Lopez, PJ Tucker. It's gone from being like what would have been really good for basketball in Australia to have like elite guys come out here for once and play and have a Boomers squad that could actually push them, to now it's like Simmons is gone and all these other US guys are pulled out. And it's just like you're left now with nothing that you were promised. And I guess it's just annoying for anyone that's paid tickets.
Yeah.
Paid money to go watch it.
Yeah, that was the last thing I'd seen was actually Ben Simmons committing to that game. Was like, yep, I'm going to be there. And even straight after that, I went around trying to search, who was potentially going to be playing for US. Because that, on paper, is a really interesting game. But you need Ben Simmons there. And yeah, my next question was going to be who's actually going to be named in that US side. And it's not even necessarily like a second grade team. It's potentially pushed back further. And like you said, they're still great players and they're still in the top league and, still key guys for their teams. But it's not what you were promised. So, and you know, $300, I think, especially for Australians to look at when you can get tickets for like 30, $40 to go watch the NRL is really overpriced, and we're not going to get people,
It is a hefty price to
and they
pay.
won't get the numbers there. But that's also normal in basketball. So there's two ways to look at it.
It is. What else is there? That's. I mean, I was going to talk about the rugby if you want to go a bit over. If you're right to, but if you're busy,
yeah, no, we can
just wrap it
either
up.
quickly focus on that unless you want to have a big spiel about it next week after the All Blacks game.
Yeah, I actually might do it after the All Blacks game.
Alright.
Because I sort of had. I mean, I just want to say I was a bit annoyed. I mean, I don't know. I guess. I mean, it was like I went to the Argentina game and it was probably the best game of rugby. Like, not rugby wise, but just atmosphere wise.
Yep.
Like, Suncorp, they didn't open up the second ring, like the high stand at all. There was no one up there. So it was like a really shitty crowd, but everyone was packed in. And it was like a really good atmosphere. And then they had, because Nudgy had played Brizzy State High beforehand, they gave a whole section of the seats to Brizzy State High and a whole section of the seats to Nudgy.
Yep.
And the Nudgy boys were all there in like their uniform and shit doing their chants. But then when the game, they started like a Mexican wave, and it was just the best atmosphere there's been at a rugby game for years. Because all it is now, since the Reds are doing shit and the Wallabies aren't doing that well, is you go to a Reds game and it's a bunch of like middle-aged to older, really, really rich people that just sit there sipping wine and complaining about like, they just gossip.
Yeah.
They don't even watch the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it's just a shit atmosphere.
Yeah, agreed.
So it was nice to actually have a game that was like, that felt like it meant something.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's fair.
But, I mean, I'll go into it next week. I guess it's just, he's chopping and changing the backs a bit, Michael Checker is. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yep.
He's like, Will Genia played well 2 weeks ago, and he's got dropped to the bench.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I don't think Nick White, I feel like, I don't know why we brought back Nick White anyway. Because I feel like we have enough good scrum halves in Australia that we didn't need to bring back a guy who left us a couple of years back.
Yep.
And he hasn't really played that. I mean, James O'Connor come on and he was all right. He was good in defense, but that's all he did.
Yeah.
I don't think he touched the ball in attack. And Matt Tamua was fucking shocking. Like, he was terrible. He missed the kick from 5 meters to the left of the upright and 10 meters back. Missed the kick in front. It was just...
Yeah.
And the way they use Michael Hooper, he gets so much hate, Hoops, for the way that he plays, but he gets sat on the wing. But
yeah, no, that's another story in itself. But it's going to be interesting. You know, we might be podcasting next week, and it's going to be, you know, we're sitting back and going, maybe Cheek is onto something, and he's actually making the right calls, chopping and changing. But chopping and changing after a win, and then going into an All Blacks game with a new team is
a bit iffy. I get it though, because we only have so many games before the World Cup. But I mean, I guess instead of chopping and changing and moving players, he's actually kept the forwards pretty similar since the first game. Like, he's only changed the props in and out, and even then it's like we have the Brumbies props, and it's like they did during the season. Like, one of them would play 1 week and then go to the bench, and the other guy would come in, and that's sort of what he's done. But he's kept most of it. And I really want Pocock to come off the bench. I really do. I don't think we make a spot for him in the main squad, which is very crazy for me to say since I'm such a fanboy. But I just think, I don't know, unless we play him at 6, I don't think we drop Hooper or do something ridiculous like that.
I agree. I think he's probably a 6, in my opinion. I think, you know, I think Hooper's all there, and he fits that position, and in my opinion does so much for that team. I don't think you can push him out of it, because if you push him out, he's going to be tended to getting dropped straight to the bench, where I think Pocock can fill in other positions, and I think we need him to, because I think we're definitely strongest when they're both running out together.
I think we are. And I mean, a lot of people are like, nah, we should start Pocock over Hooper, and it's just ridiculous. He played like 10, 20 minutes. He played like 3 games this year, Pocock did.
Yeah.
And I get what he adds, but I just think, like, Hooper, if he was actually used right, is so lethal. Like, you look at the 2014 Waratahs when they won the premiership, he just got to roam the middle of the field. Like, he didn't get sat somewhere and used as like a link between a center and a winger. He actually got to do what he does best and just run, make carries whenever he wanted. And he stopped like 2 or 3 line breaks the other night by himself. Like there was this one where I think it was a scrum or it might have been like a ruck, and the Argentinians spread it, and it doesn't show on the broadcast, but the Argentinians like spread it real quick, made a half chance, like beat all of us just with hands, and then Hooper come from that ruck the other side, sprinted, beat some of our backs for speed, and stopped the line break.
Yeah.
Like, how do you kick that out of a
He's
team?
everywhere when you need him to be. Like, I watch games and he's everywhere when we need him, and he's such a crucial player that I don't know if he's replaceable.
I don't think he is.
But I think we'll be able to see after the game tomorrow night. We'll be able to come back next week and see what's going to be likely for the World Cup, and we might have a little preview then, but we'll see how things go.
Yep, I reckon that's a good idea.
All right.
So, thank you to everyone who tuned in. If anyone watched this, yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, plenty of fun. I quite enjoyed it.
This was actually really good. So, obviously, feedback's welcome. Constructive criticism, abuse if you want to. It all counts as comments and gets us clout. So, put us on the feed for YouTube.
Hopefully, it's not too bad after our first run. It's important, but I think it's a bit of a demo run. So, hopefully, we get a few people who enjoy it and come back next week, and we'll have a few new topics to go about.